Thanks for watching the Accounting Guys YouTube channel. My name is Blake, and today we'll be talking about how to have an effective day-end close and how to make sure your bank deposits in Lightspeed are matching what happened in real life. Brian will be your trainer today. Hope you enjoy.
So first of all, let's go ahead to the bank deposit screen that is found under Management Activity and Bank Deposits. This screen is a summary. It will show you all of the days that the deposit process has taken place and who has processed that deposit, whether the deposit is over or if it's been short. So from here, what we do to do a new deposit, we click on the New button. The first filter is going to be the date. We suggest that you do one for every single day separately, even if you're not going to the bank. So I tend to look at the bank deposit screen not as a bank deposit, but more as an end of day reconciliation process. And it's something that should happen either at the end of every day or at the beginning of the next for the previous day. And so you are able to group multiple days, but it will make your bank reconciliation more difficult. So here, just for the purpose of showing you, I will still group multiple days. The next one is going to show a cashier lookup. So you are able to do bank deposits based off of separate drawers, basically, or separate registers. But for the most part, you'll have everybody selected and you'll just hit OK on the screen. And then you'll notice on the bank deposit, we have a calculated amount and we have an actual amount. And this is what we type in on the actual amount. And then over and short are going to be just based off of the difference between those two numbers. And so we have different methods of payment, which is cash and check. And then down here below, we have some different card types. And you might be wondering, well, how do I know what makes up this $53.38 or this calculated amount down here on the bottom? That is ran through a different report. It's under Management Activity, Custom Reports, Method of Payment Summary, and it is the 840 report. We make a small change to this report to add the cashier name in here. And I'm going to go ahead and run this report for April 1st through today, just to explain this a little bit. On the 840 report, we'll go ahead and make this a little bigger here. It will show you the document number for the transaction. And then again, we have this document date, which is the journal entry date for when the item was posted. And the date is the live date. So here you can see I did this on May 10th and backdated it to 4/30 in order for it to post into April and be able to reconcile for the day for the charge that had happened. We have an AR charge. We have some American Express charges for the $533.75. And we have cash. And we have different dollar amounts in here. And so here we can see our $53.38, but I also have this $12,863.38. And one reason why, when you run that report and you look in here and you're like, well, where's that $12,000? It's because if you remember a prior video, we have a management activity error. Down here in the bottom right corner, we have a red light. This means that the system couldn't process all of the entries, and so you need to fix that first. And so that's a reminder, a good reminder to make sure that that is green before you go and do your bank deposit process. But once we're in here, one more thing to point out, you have a main deposit and you have another deposit. So the main deposit, this is designed for what you actually physically take over to the bank. So if you're not physically taking checks over to the bank, you're just taking a picture of them with your phone, or you have a check panini machine where you're scanning them at your dealership, then you're not going to want them in the main deposit field, more than likely. So cash, if you take that to the bank, then you'll leave that there. These ones down here below, these other deposits, these are also meant, the purpose of it coming into this screen is to batch all of the methods of payment into one sum total. And so because in real life, for cash, if you had 10 different people bring you $100, you're not going to just deposit that $100 individually, do 10 separate deposit tickets for each one of those separate customers. You're going to take all that cash combined and deposit all at once. Same thing with your card processors. They're not going to deposit each individual transaction into your bank. It's going to batch it by day. So the difference between this top section and the bottom section is the top section is what you're physically taking to the bank, and then this bottom section can be other batching methods that will be electronically deposited into the bank. You can move these back and forth depending on what your preference is. That's inside of the method of payment mapping. So let's go ahead and go there now. So under System, Lists, Method of Payment, we can see the different deposit method of payment options that we have. And on this middle column, deposit option, you'll have no deposit, included in default bank deposit, and separate deposit. With no deposit, it's going to skip this screen. So if you run an invoice and you cashier it and you use a different method of payment, such as gift certificates, it's going to go right into the GL account that is assigned to gift certificates. But if it's one of these two types, then it's going to go through the batching method. So included in default bank deposit, you can see what bank account that is by going to System Preferences and to General Settings. And here's our default bank account. If it is a separate bank deposit, you can double click on it and it will you can assign what GL account you would like that to go into. So again, if it is a separate bank deposit, it will be in this bottom section. If it's included in default, it will be this top section. And one thing to point out about the default when inside of the GL account for your bank account, it's not going to have a line for cash and a line for checks. So if I did have $55 of cash and I had a check of $500, it's not going to have a line for 55 and a line for 500. It's just going to take this total for the actual amount and put that inside of the GL as one line. These ones on the bottom, they are separate bank deposits. So I'm going to get a line. If I have 550 here, I have 50 here, I have 100 here. In my GL account, I will see $100 is Discover, $50 is debit, and $550 is American Express. And it will actually separate those by line. And that's how the different deposit methods work. Cash over short. So this amount that I have in here now that says I'm $501 over here, I'm $166 over here. I'm going to go ahead and hit save really quick. And in your system preferences, so system preferences, in accounting, an accounting interface, at the top, this is going to tell you where those overages where the overage or shortage goes, and it goes into 90210. We'll go there next. And you can see that from that deposit that I made that we have the overage sitting in this account as one line for the day. Okay, so here in cash over short, we can see our entry from the bank deposit where it brought the credit here for the overage that we had. And you can click on that line, it will show you the full journal entry where it hit cash over short and it hit the bank accounts that it was assigned to through that bank deposit process. One more thing to know about the bank deposits is, so we know right here is where we go and make the adjustments and we look at it more as an end-of-day process. And the question is, how does this money come out? So inside the chart of accounts, you have this cash on hand account or undeposited funds. And as you receipt different sales through parts in the different modules up here, if it's got that in that default bank deposit method or the separate bank deposit method, it's going to send it into this account first, and then it pulls out of this account and goes into the different bank accounts based off of that mapping. And it is not a scheduled account, but if you're using the end of day process correctly, where you're doing it each day, verifying the cash and the checks and the different receipt types that are coming through, then this should go to zero every day. And the only thing that makes up that balance will be that calculated amount. At the end of doing your bank deposit, so after you've come in here, you've clicked on new, you've done your deposit for the day, then to finish this process, what you're supposed to do is go to that account in the chart of accounts, click on the history button, and you should see that for that day, for that deposit, the balance returned back to zero. If it is not zero, that means that somebody has backdated something into a prior period, and you'll need to track down that dollar amount in order to clear that through into the bank account. And if you use the bank deposit process here every single day, and you're doing that end of day check and making sure that what cash and checks and cards and things that show up on the 840 report that we reviewed matches what actually happened in real life, then this should be a very simple process, and you'll never have to really touch this cash on hand account
That brings us to the end of this video. If you have any trainings or videos you'd like to see in the future, those are our favorite videos to make. So go ahead and leave those down below in the comments. If you'd like to get in touch with us or schedule a one-on-one training with a dealership specialist, our contact information is in the description. Thanks for watching.